My dad warns me not to expect a birthday gift since I'm the least favorite, but I turn the tables with a surprise of my own. His reaction is priceless. The announcement came during dinner, 3 days before I turned 18. Don't get your hopes up about Saturday, Dad said, cutting his steak without looking at me. Budget's tight this year. My younger brother Finn smirked from across the table. He'd gotten a new gaming laptop for his birthday 2 months ago. My older sister Quinn had received a car last year, but somehow, money was always tight when it came to me. Mom stayed silent, pushing food around her plate like she always did. It wasn't just the gifts, it was everything. My college fund had mysteriously disappeared. Dad claimed the market crash wiped it out, though Finn and Quinn's funds remained untouched. My graduation party got canceled because Dad scheduled a fishing trip that same weekend. When I made honor roll, he'd grunt and change the subject. When Finn got a B-, we'd celebrate at the steakhouse. I'd learned to expect nothing, but this year would be different. For 6 months, I'd been working at a law firm as a file clerk. Not for spending money, for evidence. See, Dad owned a small construction company, and I'd noticed some interesting patterns. Invoices that didn't match the work completed, payments to shell companies that didn't exist, tax documents with creative math. I'd been copying everything, photographing receipts, recording conversations, building a case file that would make the IRS very interested. My 18th birthday fell on a Saturday. I woke to an empty house. They'd all gone to Finn's soccer tournament without telling me. There was no card, no cake, nothing. Just a note on the counter. Leftovers in fridge. Perfect. I spent the morning finalizing my documentation. Everything was organized and backed up to 3 separate cloud accounts. Then I got dressed in my best interview outfit and drove downtown. The IRS agent I'd been corresponding with, anonymously, until now, met me in a conference room. Agent Keller was a woman in her 50s with sharp eyes that reminded me of a hawk spotting prey. "You're sure about this?" she asked, reviewing my documents. "I'm sure," I said. "I want full whistleblower protection and the maximum percentage of whatever you recover." She smiled. "Given what I'm seeing here, that could be substantial." When I got home that evening, my family was back. They'd brought pizza, my least favorite kind. No one mentioned my birthday until I walked in. "Oh, right," Dad said. "Happy birthday, I guess. There's pizza if you want some." Quinn was scrolling through her phone. Finn was already gaming on his laptop. "Actually," I said, setting my bag down, "I got myself a birthday present this year." Dad barely glanced up. "Good for you." "I met with the IRS today," I continued. "Turned over about 200 pages of documentation about your business practices. Tax evasion, fraud, falsified invoices, everything." The room went silent. Dad's face drained of color. "What?" Mom's voice was barely a whisper. "They're very interested," I said calmly. "Agent Keller called it one of the most comprehensive whistleblower cases she's seen from someone my age. I'm entitled to 15–30% of whatever they recover. Based on their preliminary assessment, that could be anywhere from $400,000 to $2 million. Dad stood up so fast his chair toppled backward. "You little—" "Careful," I interrupted. "I recorded this conversation too. Any threats will just add to the file." "You'd destroy your own family?" "No," I said. "You destroyed this family a long time ago. I'm just making sure I get something out of it. Consider it my college fund, the one you embezzled." Dad lunged toward me, but Mom grabbed his arm. "How could you?" she whispered. "How could I?" I turned to her. "How could you sit silent for 18 years while he treated me like garbage, while he stole from me?" The doorbell rang. Through the window, I could see 2 people in suits on the porch. Agent Keller worked faster than I'd expected. Dad's face went from red to gray. "What did you do?" I walked toward the door. "I got myself the best birthday present I could imagine." As I reached for the handle, my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Don't open that door. We need to talk first. You've made a serious mistake. TC." My hand froze on the doorknob. Who was TC, and what mistake? I stared at my phone screen, my heart suddenly pounding. The doorbell rang again, more insistent this time. "Are you going to get that or what?" Quinn asked from the couch. Another text came through. "Those aren't IRS agents. Check the car plates. Federal vehicles have specific designations. I'm parked across the street in the blue sedan. Get out the back door. Now!" My stomach dropped. I looked through the window again, really looked this time. The suits were too expensive, too tailored. The woman's shoes were designer, definitely not government issue, and their car in the driveway wasn't the standard dark sedan the IRS used. It was a black Mercedes with tinted windows. "I need to use the bathroom," I said, backing away from the door. "What about them?" Dad gestured frantically toward the door. "You invited them," I shot back. "You answer it." I walked quickly down the hallway, grabbed my car keys from my room, and slipped out the back door. My hands were shaking as I crossed through our neighbor's yard. The blue sedan's passenger door opened as I approached. Inside sat a man in his 30s with wire-rimmed glasses and a laptop balanced on his knees. "Get in," he said. "We have maybe 2 minutes before they realize you're gone." I hesitated. "Listen, I'm not trying to hurt you. I'm trying to save your ass. Those people at your door work for your dad's business partners. Real business partners, not the construction ones." I got in. He pulled away immediately, keeping his speed casual and normal. "Who are you?" I demanded. "Theodore Chen. I go by Theo. I'm an investigative journalist. I've been tracking your father's organization for 3 years." "Organization? He owns a construction company." Theo laughed bitterly. "The construction company is the front. Your dad's been laundering money for the Kozlov family for the past decade. Those invoices you copied? That's how they clean about $15 million annually through fake construction projects. The shell companies are theirs." My blood went cold. "The Kozlov family? As in the Russian mob? Ukrainian, technically, but yeah, same idea. He turned down a side street. Your little IRS stunt just alerted some very dangerous people that someone's been documenting their operation. They don't know it was you yet. They think it might be your dad getting cold feet or trying to cut his own deal. But once they figure it out, how do you know all this? Because I've been investigating them. I work for the Chronicle. We've been building a story for years, but we need someone on the inside to testify. Someone with documentation. He glanced at me. Someone exactly like you. I don't want to be involved with the mob, I said, my voice cracking. I just wanted my college money back. Too late. You're already involved. He pulled into a parking garage. The IRS agent you met with, Keller, she's legitimate. But the Kozlovs have people everywhere. Someone tipped them off within an hour of your meeting. Those fake agents at your door were sent to find out what you know and make it disappear, along with you, if necessary. I felt like I might throw up. Here's what's going to happen, Theo said, parking in a dark corner. You're going to call Agent Keller right now. Tell her what happened. She'll put you in protective custody. Then you're going to give the Chronicle an exclusive interview and help us take down the entire operation. And if I don't, then those people find you and you disappear. Your family probably goes with you just to be thorough. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold my phone. This wasn't supposed to happen. I just wanted to hurt my dad. Make him pay for treating me like garbage. Well, congratulations, Theo said. You're about to destroy him way more thoroughly than you planned. I dialed Agent Keller's number. She answered on the first ring. Agent Keller? I know who you are, she interrupted. Where are you right now? I don't know. Some parking garage. There were people at my house pretending to be federal agents. I'm aware. We had surveillance watching your residence. Those individuals are currently being detained by actual federal agents, but we need to bring you in immediately. The scope of what you've uncovered is significantly larger than tax evasion. I'm with a journalist, Theodore Chen. There was a pause. Chen's been helpful to our investigation. Stay with him. I'm sending a team to your location now. Don't move. She hung up. Theo was already typing on his laptop. I'm sending you a secure file upload link. I need you to transfer all your documentation to me. Everything you gave the IRS and anything else you have. Why? Insurance. If something happens to you, the story still gets out. You said they're being detained. I'm safe, right? He looked at me with something like pity. The Kozlovs have been operating in this city for 20 years. You think 2 fake agents are their whole organization? Your dad's been their accountant and money launderer. They're not going to let this go. 15 minutes later, 3 black SUVs pulled into the garage. Agent Keller emerged from the first one, flanked by men in tactical gear. Miss, she gestured for me to come with her. We need to go. Now. I looked at Theo. What about him? Mr. Chen is free to go. He's not in immediate danger. She opened the SUV door. You are. The next 3 hours were a blur. I was taken to a federal building downtown, processed, photographed, and placed in a windowless conference room. Agent Keller and her partner, a stern man named Agent Walsh, laid out exactly how screwed I was. The Kozlov organization has been our target for 5 years, Walsh said. They're responsible for drug trafficking, human smuggling, and money laundering across 6 states. Your father is one of 3 primary money launderers in their network. I didn't know, I whispered. I just thought he was cheating on his taxes. Your documentation is extremely valuable, Keller said, but it also makes you a target. We can offer you protective custody, but you'll need to testify when this goes to trial. What about my family? What about them? Walsh asked coldly. Are they in danger? Your father definitely is. Your mother and siblings. Depends on what they know. We'll be interviewing them separately. They don't know anything, I said. Mom just keeps her head down. Quinn and Finn are clueless. We'll determine that, Keller said. For now, you need to decide. Protective custody and cooperation, or you're on your own. How long would protective custody last? Could be months. Could be years. Depends how long it takes to build the case and get through trial. My phone buzzed. Another text from Theo. Don't let them bury you in the system. You have rights. You can cooperate without disappearing. The story runs in 3 days, with or without your interview, but it's better with it. I want a lawyer, I said. Walsh sighed. You're not under arrest. You don't need a lawyer. Then I'm free to go? Technically, yes, but I strongly advise, I want a lawyer, I repeated. And I want to talk to Theodore Chen. They weren't happy about it, but they couldn't stop me. They brought in a federal public defender named Diana Reeves, who looked like she'd been roused from sleep, but had sharp eyes that missed nothing. They're trying to lock you down before you understand your options, Diana said after reading through everything. You're a whistleblower, not a witness who needs protection. There's a difference. What's the difference? Witnesses are controlled. Whistleblowers have power. You documented a crime and reported it. That gives you certain rights and protections under federal law. They want you scared and compliant. Don't be. Over the next hour, Diana negotiated terms. I would cooperate fully with the investigation. I would testify if needed, but I would not be placed in protective custody unless there was a specific, credible threat. I would continue my life, attend college in the fall, and be given regular security briefings. In exchange, I would receive the full whistleblower reward, 15% minimum, possibly up to 30% of whatever they recovered. Diana estimated it could be anywhere from $2 million to $10 million, given the scope of the operation. One more thing, I said. I want to talk to Theodore Chen. Exclusive interview. Before anyone else. Keller looked ready to argue, but Diana cut her off. My client has the right to speak to the press. You can't prevent that. They set up the interview for the next morning at a secure location. I was given a hotel room with a federal agent stationed outside. I didn't sleep. At 6 a.m., Theo arrived with a photographer and a recording device. He looked like he hadn't slept either. This is going to be huge, he said, setting up. Biggest story of my career. Maybe the biggest story the Chronicles run in a decade. My family's going to hate me. Your family enabled this. Your dad built this life on blood money. Your mom looked the other way. They don't get to hate you for telling the truth. The interview lasted 4 hours. I told him everything, from the first time I noticed something was wrong with Dad's books, to the months of documentation, to my birthday confrontation. Theo took notes furiously, asked follow-up questions, verified details. When did you realize your dad was involved with organized crime? He asked. When you told me in your car, I admitted. Before that, I just thought he was a regular criminal. Tax evasion, fraud, small-time stuff. And now I'm terrified and angry. He put all of us in danger for money. Money he didn't even share with me. Theo smiled grimly. That's the angle. The daughter he ignored, who brought down his empire. The story ran 3 days later on the Chronicle's front page. The headline read, "Local teen exposes major money laundering operation on her 18th birthday." My photo was on the cover. They'd used the shot from the interview, me looking exhausted but determined, sitting in that bland conference room. Within hours, it was everywhere. National news picked it up. Cable networks wanted interviews. My phone, Diana had gotten me a new, secure one, wouldn't stop buzzing with requests. But the local reaction was worse. Our house was swarmed by media. Dad was arrested at 6 a.m. in a coordinated raid that also targeted 15 other locations. Mom was taken in for questioning. Quinn and Finn were pulled out of school, and everyone blamed me. The messages started immediately. Former family friends calling me a traitor. Dad's business associates leaving threatening voicemails. Someone spray-painted snitch across our garage door. My old high school friends, not that I had many, were divided. Some thought I was brave. Most thought I was a psycho who destroyed her own family for money. You turned in your own dad, Quinn texted me. For money. You're disgusting. He stole my college fund and worked for the mob, I replied. He's still our dad. I blocked her number. Finn didn't text at all, but I saw his social media posts. He'd started a GoFundMe to help my innocent father fight false charges from a vengeful family member. It raised $30,000 before it was taken down for violating terms of service. Mom called once. I almost didn't answer. Hello? They're saying your father could get 20 years. Her voice was hollow. 20 years. He's been laundering money for the Ukrainian mob for a decade, Mom. He's lucky they're not charging him with more. You could have just left, gone to college, started your own life. You didn't have to do this. He stole from me, from all of us, and he put us in danger. You put us in danger, she snapped. The FBI is crawling through our house. They've frozen all our accounts. Your sister can't afford her car payments. Your brother's going to have to transfer schools because we can't pay tuition. I have to go. Wait, but I hung up. Diana called immediately after. Don't talk to your family without me present. Anything you say can be used against you or them in the ongoing investigation. They hate me. They're scared. And they're looking for someone to blame who isn't the person who actually committed the crimes. That's normal. It doesn't feel normal. Give it time. When your father goes to prison and you get your whistleblower reward, they'll change their tune. Money makes people forgiving. But I wasn't sure I wanted their forgiveness. The trial prep took months. I met with prosecutors every week, going over my evidence, preparing for cross-examination, learning how to stay calm under pressure. Meanwhile, the full scope of Dad's operation came out. He wasn't just laundering money. He'd been involved in the distribution network too. Some of those construction sites were used to move drugs and even people across state lines. He wasn't a small player. He was a lieutenant. The Kozlov family had 17 members indicted. 4 had fled the country. The rest were in custody, awaiting trial. Dad's lawyer tried to make a deal. If Dad testified against the Kozlovs, they'd reduce his sentence to 10 years. Dad refused. Honor among thieves, Theo said when I told him. He's terrified of what they'll do to him if he talks. They're in prison. They have long arms and long memories. The trial started in October, right as I was supposed to be starting college. I deferred my admission to Stanford, my top choice, ironically funded by a scholarship now that my family circumstances made me eligible for financial aid. I testified on day 4. The defense attorney tried to paint me as a vindictive daughter who'd fabricated evidence to hurt her father, but the documents spoke for themselves. Forensic accountants had verified everything I'd found. My testimony was almost redundant. Dad sat at the defendant's table, refusing to look at me. He'd lost weight. His suit hung loose on his frame. When I described finding the first discrepancy in his books, I saw his jaw tighten, but he didn't react otherwise. The cross-examination was brutal. Isn't it true that you were angry at your father? The defense attorney asked. Yes. Angry enough to lie? I didn't lie. Everything I documented was real. Convenient that you'd been documenting for 6 months before your birthday. Some might call that premeditated. I call it thorough. You stand to gain millions of dollars from your father's conviction. I stand to gain what I'm legally entitled to as a whistleblower. My father stands to lose his freedom because he committed crimes. It went on for 2 hours. By the end, I was exhausted, but I hadn't broken. The jury deliberated for 3 days. Dad was convicted on 14 counts, including money laundering, racketeering conspiracy, and wire fraud. At sentencing, the judge gave him 18 years. Mom sobbed in the gallery. Quinn held her. Finn stared at me with pure hatred. I felt nothing. No, that's not true. I felt relief and guilt about feeling relief. The whistleblower reward came through 6 months later. $4.7 million deposited into an account Diana had helped me set up. After taxes and legal fees, I had $3.2 million. I was 19 years old and richer than my father had ever been. The money didn't fix anything. Mom and I didn't speak. Quinn and Finn had moved in with our aunt, Dad's sister, who who blamed me for destroying her brother's life. I'd tried to reach out once. Quinn told me I was dead to them. I started college a year late, using a different name for safety. The Kozlovs were in prison, but paranoia lingered. I kept my head down, made new friends who didn't know my story, and tried to build a normal life. Theo's article won a journalism award. He thanked me in his acceptance speech, though he used my pseudonym. We stayed in touch. Sometimes he'd text me updates on the case or just check in. "How's school?" he asked one day. "Fine. Weird being normal after everything." "You're never going to be normal. You took down an organized crime syndicate at 18. That stays with you." Not helping. Wasn't trying to, just being honest. 2 years after the trial, Mom reached out. A short email. "Your brother graduated high school. Thought you'd want to know." I didn't respond immediately. What was I supposed to say? Congratulations on the son you chose over me? But eventually, I replied, "That's great. I hope he's doing well." 3 weeks later, she called. "Can we talk?" Mom asked. "In person?" We met at a neutral location, a coffee shop halfway between her apartment and my school. She looked older, tired. The weight of the last 2 years was etched in the lines around her eyes. "I don't expect you to forgive me," she started. "I should have protected you. I should have noticed what your father was doing, both to you and in his business. But you didn't." "No, I didn't. I was comfortable, complacent. I told myself it was easier to look away. And now I'm working as a receptionist at a dentist's office, living in a 2-bedroom apartment with your siblings. We lost the house, the cars, everything. Your sister had to drop out of college. Your brother works nights at a warehouse." I wanted to feel sympathy. Instead, I felt tired. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because they blame you, and I let them. I let them think you were the villain because it was easier than admitting I failed as a mother." "You did fail." She flinched but nodded. "I know. I'm trying to fix it. I've told them the truth, about how your father treated you, about how I stayed silent. They don't want to hear it yet, but I'm not giving up." "What do you want from me?" "Nothing," she said. "I don't want your money or your forgiveness. I just wanted you to know that I see it now. I see what I did, and I'm sorry. It wasn't enough. It would never be enough, but it was something." "Okay," I said. "Okay? I heard you. I'm not ready to have a relationship, but I heard you." She cried then, quietly, dabbing at her eyes with a napkin. "That's more than I deserve." We didn't hug when we left, but we didn't part as enemies either, just two people trying to figure out what came next. I graduated college with a degree in forensic accounting. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. I destroyed my father's criminal enterprise, so naturally I dedicated my career to finding more like it. I was recruited by the FBI right out of school. Not as an agent, but as a specialist in financial crimes. My first case involved tracking money laundering through cryptocurrency. My childhood training, stalking my father's business records, had prepared me better than any textbook. Theo wrote a follow-up article when I graduated. Where is she now, the teen whistleblower who became a financial crime fighter? I gave him another interview. This time I used my real name. "Do you regret it?" he asked. "Turning in your father?" "Sometimes," I admitted. Not because he didn't deserve it, but because of what it cost me. I lost my family. I lost any sense of normal childhood. I look over my shoulder everywhere I go. Was it worth it? I thought about the 237 victims the FBI had identified. People exploited by the Kozlov organization. Women trafficked across borders. Families destroyed by drugs. Lives ruined. "Yeah," I said. "It was worth it." At 23, I was working on a case that led to a major bust in Chicago. 63 arrests, $200 million in seized assets. The case made national news. My boss submitted me for a commendation. That's when Quinn reached out. "I saw you on the news," her message said. "You look good." It was the first time she'd contacted me in 5 years. "Thanks," I replied, unsure what else to say. "I'm sorry," she sent next, "for everything. I was a kid and I was scared, and I blamed you because it was easier than accepting that Dad was a criminal. You were 18, old enough to know better." "You're right, I was. I'm not asking you to forgive me. I just wanted you to know I was wrong." I stared at the message for a long time. Part of me wanted to ignore it, to let her feel the same isolation I'd felt, but I was tired of being angry. "I appreciate that," I typed. "I'm not ready for more than this, but thank you for saying it." "That's fair," she replied. "If you ever are ready, I'm here." Finn never apologized. Last I heard, he'd moved to Florida and worked in sales. We'd become strangers, connected only by shared DNA and a history neither of us wanted to revisit. Dad served 8 years before he was stabbed in prison. The Kozlov family had reached him after all. He survived, but the attack left him partially paralyzed. He was transferred to a medical facility to serve the rest of his sentence. I didn't visit, didn't send a card, didn't call. Agent Keller did reach out to tell me, though. "Thought you'd want to know," she said. "I know it's complicated." "It's not complicated," I replied. "He made his choices. He's living with the consequences. Most people can't be that clinical about their parents. Most people's parents didn't launder money for the mob." She laughed dryly. "Fair point. When I was 25, I was promoted to senior analyst. My whistleblower money sat mostly untouched in investments. I lived simply, drove a used car, rented a modest apartment. The money felt dirty somehow, even though I'd earned it legally. Theo suggested I donate some of it, set up a scholarship fund, help other kids get out of bad situations. I created the Second Chance Scholarship, full rides for students from families involved in criminal activity who wanted to build different lives. The first year we helped 12 kids. By year 3, it was 40. One recipient, a girl named Destiny, whose father was in prison for embezzlement, wrote me a letter. "You showed me it's possible to break the cycle. Thank you for proving family loyalty doesn't mean protecting criminals." I kept that letter on my desk. At 26, I met someone. Alex was a public defender who understood complicated family dynamics without needing lengthy explanations. They'd grown up with an addicted parent and knew what it meant to love someone while holding them accountable. You did the right thing, Alex said when I finally told them the full story, even though it cost you everything. Sometimes I wonder if there was another way. There wasn't. You were 18, alone, and backed into a corner. You survived. That's what matters. We got engaged a year later. Small ceremony, few guests. Mom came, which surprised me. Quinn came too. We weren't close, might never be, but we were trying. Finn sent a card. No note, just his signature. It was something. Dad didn't know about the wedding. I didn't tell him and no one else did either. On my wedding day, as I was getting ready, Mom knocked on the door. Can I come in? I nodded. She sat down, carefully, like she was afraid I'd ask her to leave. You look beautiful. Thanks. I want to tell you something. Your father called me last week. From prison. My stomach tightened. What did he want? He wanted me to ask you something. To give you a message. She paused. I told him no. I told him he'd lost the right to ask anything of you years ago. I just wanted you to know that I said no. It was such a small thing, but it mattered. Thank you, I said. I'm proud of you, Mom continued. I know I have no right to be, given everything, but I am. You broke a cycle that's plagued our family for generations. You're building something new. I'm trying. You're succeeding. The wedding was perfect. Small, intimate, full of people who chose to be there. Alex and I wrote our own vows. Mine included a line about choosing truth over comfort, even when it costs everything. Theo was there, of course. He'd become an unlikely friend over the years, the person who'd been there at the very beginning of my new life. Never thought I'd cry at a wedding, he said, hugging me afterward. But here we are, getting soft in your old age? Shut up. You're making me regret the compliment. I went back to work after the honeymoon. There was always another case, another criminal enterprise to unravel. I was good at my job, really good. Turned out, growing up watching my father commit crimes had given me insight into how criminals think. At 28, I testified before Congress about financial crimes and money laundering. The hearing was televised. Somewhere, I knew Dad was watching from his prison medical facility. A reporter caught me after the hearing. Your father's crimes led you to this career. Do you think about that? Every day, I said. He showed me how the system could be exploited. I decided to spend my life protecting it instead. Have you spoken to him since his conviction? No. Do you plan to? No. That night, my phone rang from an unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. You have a collect call from an inmate at... I hung up. He tried 3 more times that week. Each time, I declined the call. The 4th time, Alex asked if I was okay. He's trying to reach me. Do you want to talk to him? I don't know. Part of me wants to hear what he has to say. Part of me thinks there's nothing he could say that would matter. You don't owe him anything, Alex said gently. Not closure, not forgiveness, nothing. I know, but if you need to do it for yourself, I'll support you. I thought about it for weeks. Finally, I accepted the call. Hello? I said. It's me. Dad's voice was rough, older than I remembered. Thank you for answering. What do you want? To apologize. I know it's not enough, but I'm sorry. For all of it. For how I treated you. For what I put you through. For the danger I exposed you to. You're right. It's not enough. I don't expect your forgiveness. I just wanted you to know that I see it now. What I did. Who I hurt. You were my daughter and I failed you in every possible way. Part of me had been waiting years to hear this. Now that I had, it felt empty. Okay, I said. I heard about your work. Congressional testimony. You're doing important things. No thanks to you. No, because of your own strength, your own choices. He paused. I'm proud of you. I know I have no right to be, but I am. I have to go. Wait, will you visit? Eventually? I don't think so. I understand. I hung up before he could say anything else. Alex found me sitting on the couch, staring at nothing. How do you feel? They asked. I don't know. I thought hearing him apologize would change something, but it didn't. Maybe it doesn't need to. Maybe some things are just done and there's no fixing them. That's depressing. No, Alex said. It's freeing. You don't have to wait for him to give you closure. You already closed that door yourself. They were right. I'd been so focused on what my father took from me that I'd forgotten what I'd built for myself. A career helping people. A partner who loved me. A life built on truth instead of lies. The whistleblower reward money funded my scholarship program and helped other victims of financial crimes. My testimony helped put away criminals and reform laws. The pain my father caused didn't disappear, but I'd transformed it into something useful. At 30, I published a memoir, not about revenge or family drama, but about the technical aspects of uncovering financial crimes. It became required reading at the FBI Academy. Theo wrote a glowing review. Dad died when I was 32. Heart attack in prison. Mom called to tell me. The funeral's on Saturday, she said. Will you come? I don't think so. Your siblings will be there. I know. But I said everything I needed to say years ago. There's nothing left. I understand. Quinn called next. It would mean a lot if you came. To who? To you? Or to make it look better for everyone else? That's not fair, isn't it? Where were you when I needed family? When I was testifying? When I was building my life from nothing? We were kids. You were 18, Quinn. The same age I was when I reported him. You made your choice. I'm making mine. I didn't go to the funeral. Instead, Alex and I spent that Saturday volunteering at a youth center, helping at-risk kids with their homework. One of them, a 14-year-old boy whose father was awaiting trial for fraud, asked me for advice. My mom wants me to visit him in jail, he said, but I'm angry at him. Is that wrong? No, I said. It's not wrong. You get to feel whatever you feel. and you get to make whatever choice is right for you. Did you ever forgive your dad? I thought about it. No, but I built a life anyway. That's the thing about forgiveness. You don't need it to move forward. Years passed. My career continued to flourish. The scholarship fund grew. Alex and I bought a house, got a dog, talked about maybe having kids someday. I still checked my locks twice before bed. Still had moments where I looked over my shoulder, but the fear had faded to a background hum instead of a constant roar. On my 35th birthday, I woke to a news alert. The last member of the Kozlov organization had been sentenced. The case that started on my 18th birthday was finally completely closed. Theo sent me a message. We did it. 17 years after you walked into that IRS office, everyone involved is behind bars or dead. You should be proud. Are you writing another article? I asked. Maybe, if you'll give me an interview. Sure, but this time I want the headline to be about what came after, not what I lost. The article ran with the title, "The Girl Who Destroyed Her Family's Criminal Empire Built Something Better." In the interview, Theo asked me one final question. If you could go back and do it differently, would you? I thought about 18-year-old me, standing in that living room on my birthday, making the choice that would change everything. No, I said. I'd do it exactly the same. Because that choice, as hard as it was, gave me the freedom to become who I am. Not who my father wanted me to be, not who my family expected, but who I chose to be. And who's that? Someone who tells the truth, no matter the cost. Someone who fights for people who can't fight for themselves. Someone who breaks cycles instead of continuing them. Your father would probably be proud of that, Theo said. I smiled. Maybe, but I didn't do it for him. I did it for me, and that makes all the difference. The article ended with a photo of me at work, surrounded by case files, doing what I loved. Not a victim, not a villain, just someone who made a choice and lived with the consequences and built something meaningful from the rubble. Looking back now, standing in my office, preparing for another case, I realized something. My father thought money was freedom. He thought lies and manipulation would protect him. He thought family loyalty meant silence. He was wrong on all counts. Real freedom came from telling the truth, even when it cost me everything. Real protection came from building a life on integrity. And real family, the family I chose, the people who stood by me, they valued truth over comfortable lies. My 18th birthday present to myself wasn't revenge, it was liberation, and that gift keeps giving every single day.